Hey folks, Mark Island at Safe Software here. Just really this is a demo that isn't a demo, if you like. What I'm doing here is just I'm doing my general day-to-day work using FME, and I thought I'd record a couple of things that I'm doing just to show you a few steps, and hopefully something here will be useful for you. So what I'm doing today is I'm creating a new data set for use in training courses in FME 2014. And this data set is going to be street lighting, a bunch of point features. And what we've been doing is downloading some data from the city of Vancouver. They've got this open data catalog, and that's really quite a useful source for us. So we've downloaded a whole bunch of data. I've downloaded some streetlight information, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this to a CAD format. I'm going to convert it to MicroStation first, and then I'm going to convert it to AutoCAD, because if we just keep it in one format or another, the other side tends to complain, I guess you could say. So AutoCAD users don't like watching a demo with MicroStation, and MicroStation folk don't like watching a demo with AutoCAD. So we'll create the data in both formats and keep everyone happy. So this is what I'm going to do, and the first thing I guess I should do is I need to create a cell in MicroStation. So because these are all going to be point features, so I need to create a cell that looks like a lighting pole. So I've got a cell library open. This is more obviously MicroStation than FME, but you'll see where this is going in FME. So we'll create. I'm creating a. I guess a circle would do, but we can. Let's see. I'm just trying to create a cell or an icon that looks like a lighting post or a light in some way. I think I can create an array of features. Yeah, that looks good. So we're going to create an array of these. Okay. Put a fence around there. Let's see, how do we define a cell? Where's my cell? There we go, cells. I need to create the origin in the center, and I think now I can just say let's create a new cell. And oops, not a new. Let's see, how do we do this? New, there we go, new cell. Okay, so we'll call it cell light, and it's a lighting pole, and it's a graphics cell. So we created that. Do I need to save that? I think it saved it. Okay, so I've created a cell now in MicroStation. That's fine. So let's have a look at what we're going to do in FME. So I'm going to generate a workspace. The first thing I'm going to do is convert this to a neutral format. All of the data we've downloaded from the city of Vancouver comes in shape or AutoCAD or KML, but we generally download shape. Let's see, street lighting. Okay, I forgot to unzip everything. Let's see, FME data source. You can see why this isn't a proper demo, because I'm just working on the fly, as it were. I'm not. In fact, I haven't even unzipped this data, so I've got no idea what it looks like, which is pretty bad of me. But okay, so we're going to look at street lighting poles, I think. Okay, so street lighting poles. I'm going to convert that to an FFS format. Let's see, FFS street lighting. Almost called it street lightning there, which. Okay, so we've got street lighting. We have a node number and a block number. Let's have a look at that, just to see what source data we're dealing with. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff there. Now, one of the things is our data only covers this area, so one of the things I'm going to have to do is clip that. Let's have a look. What have we got? So, node number, block number. Okay, so it just looks like a particular node number seems to be the lighting ID. and block number just seems to be a block ID. So I'm going to just rename these because I can, and it doesn't matter if we misinterpret something or whatever, and it's only a training course, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to call it pole ID and block ID, because obviously I'm going to a neutral format here, so I don't need to worry too much about being uppercase like I would in shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another reader which has got the Vancouver bounding box. So this is the area of the data that we're working with. So I'm going to throw a clipper transformer in here. We are going to make that our clippy, so we're only going to get streetlights that we actually want to have. Let's see, what else was I going to do on here? I need to map my schema. So let's see, node to block, block to block. We'll replace that with an attribute copier just to make sure we don't lose any schema mapping. So that's all good. There was something else I was going to do. Oh, I've just I renamed the feature type. So street lighting poles. Not that it was wrong before, but we just prefer this sort of camel case thing. And the other thing I was going to do as well was create some nulls with a null attribute mapper. There might not be any data that is empty, but if there is, so what I'm saying is if block ID or pole ID is, let's see, null, empty or missing, then set it to null on the output, because we can now do full nulls in FME 2014. So I'm trying to get some data in there that has some null values, and there might not be any in here, but if there are, we'll find them and set them to null. Okay, so I'm going to save this workspace and I'm going to call it street lighting. Trying so hard not to write lightning that I spell lighting wrong. And we'll run that translation. And let's see how many were there. Wow, so 55,000 street poles in Vancouver, and 15,000 of them are in our area. So let's have a look what we've got. So this is what we've clipped it to, and you can see there's a pole ID and a block ID. Oh, we've got FME base name being written out as a schema, and I know why that is. Pole ID 0.5, that's interesting. One thing I need to do when writing to FFS is I need to go into this setting and say enforce strict schema yes. In other words, only give me the attributes that are on there. If that's set to no, then basically it'll write any attributes that are there, which can be useful in quite a few cases, but in this case I just want it to write the attributes that we've got. We could also create a spatial index, which yeah, I don't really need it, I don't think. Because it's going to be FFS and that's not, yeah. So we've run that, we've got the data. Now what I'm going to do is fire up another workbench, and what we'll do with this is where we start converting to DGN. Hopefully this isn't taking too long, but I think it's an interesting demo. So we're going to generate a workspace from FFS. And the reason we're creating that FFS data is just because we want to have this sort of neutral form of data that we can use to generate anything from here. So now we could convert this to PostGIS, to SQL Server, to map of any format we like. In this case I'm just going to work to DGN, and let's see, we are going to write it to the FME data folder. Data, probably around the transportation, because we've already got traffic signals in there. So maybe it doesn't come under transportation. Okay, I'm going to put it there for now, but I might move it to a different folder at some point. So street with only two E's, lighting. Let's have a look at the parameters. Okay, seed file I'm going to change. The seed file is just like a template, if you like, if you're not MicroStation inclined. Seed 2D meters version 8. We only need 2 dimensions, and it's meters because it's Vancouver is in Canada, and we're metric here. So, okay, what I'm picking now is a cell library where I define that cell. So let me find where I got that, and it should be in here. Okay, so we have street lighting. Okay, I guess what I need to do is how we're going to create those pole IDs. And what I think I might do, because you can save it in MicroStation, you can save it as tags. Let's see, I don't need that dialog to be that big. Okay, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to just turn off all of the format attributes, which I don't need. So I've got a clean schema there. We could write that information to there as tags. I could just say yes as a tag. In fact, I think I might do that because I don't have an example of writing data to tags. So I'm just going to turn the format attribute off. And delete that FME base name, which seemed to sneak through anyway, regardless of... maybe I just forgot to rerun that last workspace. Anyway, so I'm going to say yes, write this data as a tag, which is a specific form of MicroStation. Let's see, we're going to use the DGN styler, and we are going to set a cell, and we'll pick the cell library file, which was that one, and we click on browse to find the cell list, which was light, and we will just say scale factor 1, so it is whatever scale it was there. We click OK. Okay, I think that's probably going to be enough. I don't think I need to do anything else. The nulls, if there are any nulls in there, we'll probably lose the actual null value because I don't think MicroStation supports null exactly in the same way as a database would. But that's okay, as long as it's in the FFS, we've got that again in a neutral format in case we want to use it somewhere else. I think that's pretty much all I want to do, so I'm going to run that. Well, the other thing I could do, I'm not going to this time, but the other thing I could do is we've got this label point replacer. So what I could do is say, well, look, let's create a label, because you find this often in CAD data. So you could create a label that's like block ID dash pole ID and label height, I don't know, say 2 meters. Oops, 2. So we could create labels in there as well, which, yeah, I might do that. Quite often you find, and I have got this already in another data set, that you have labels that are close to a feature that doesn't have any annotation, and then you use the nearest neighbor finder in an exercise to copy that information from the label onto there. So let's right click, open that containing folder, streetlighting.dgn. So we'll inspect that with the data inspector. It's version 8. Thank you very much. Street lighting parameters will, let's see, we will expand the cells. So we should get little symbols. And there's 15,000 of them plus 15,000 labels. Oh, maybe there's more. Oh, because I'm just looking at this feature count going up, but because it exploded the cells, each of the cell probably got exploded into about 11 pieces each. And if there's 15,000 times 11, that's 150,000 of those plus labels. So this is just going to take another 4 or 5 seconds, I think, to load. Honest, it'll be there any second now, I'm hoping. 190, there we go, 189,000 features, and they're all in white, which isn't helping much on a white background. Okay, so there we go. Let's zoom in and take a look what we've got. See, even those bits around there are white as well for some reason. But anyway, you can see we've got the cell and we've got a piece of text next to it, which I might keep because that's sort of good. I don't know why. Oh, that's area fill. There we go. Lines and borders will set. There we go, that's better. Now the one thing I guess I've noticed here is that it overlaps a little bit, so I guess we might want to put a offsetter transformer in there, and this is the great thing about doing this with some data, that I'm doing it for training. It really doesn't matter in the slightest what I do. I can do whatever I like with it, so as long as I make data that's fairly realistic of a real world environment, and I think this is. Just back in MicroStation now, I'm just going to open that data up and have a look. Where are we? We're in FME data, transportation, street lighting. Let's have a look, because it'll just load a bit quicker in here. That's the one. Okay, so yeah, there we go. We got the cells, and we have the street label next to it. So, and that should be tags. Let's see, tools. How do we read a tag? Just to prove. There we go. Hang on. Let's see that. Attach tags, edit tags, review tags. Yeah, review tags. We should be able to query on one of these. There we go. It's got the tag attached. So really, that's how the information's being stored. I wonder how we get it in FME. Well, there you go. You can see we've offset the labels now. If I query that, somewhere in here we should find that there's tag information. IGDS tag names, pole ID and block ID, and somewhere in there should be the value as well. See, these are the linkages. That's how MicroStation stores data in there. So anyway, so I've created that MicroStation data, and that's all good. We can use that for training purposes now. Now I did say I was going to create this in AutoCAD as well, so let's give that a try. Now the first thing I've got to do is create an AutoCAD block, and I don't know how to do that in AutoCAD because I'm just not a very strong AutoCAD user. But what I do have is, I shut down MicroStation and I shouldn't. Just give me a second here. So let's see, computer drive. I've got this temporary file I use here. Okay, I'm just fitting the contents. I'm going to delete. I'm just deleting everything here because what I want to do is place that as a cell, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. Settings, utilities, where do I open the cell library? Element, cells, there we go. So I need to attach the cell library, and we'll place one of these. How do we place one? That's not even the right dialog I'm looking at there. Cell, there we go. Okay, so I placed the cell, and that's in there. So you'll see why I did that in a second. And what we've got, I've got a workspace that I downloaded from FMEpedia, and I always like this one. Presentations. I'm sure it's in this CAD to GIS. I used it in the CAD to GIS demo before. It's called Cells to Blocks. I don't know who created this, but thank you, whoever it was. It's very useful. So what we can do here is we can just point to that DGN file and say, look in here, find all of the cells in there and convert them to a block, and we will create a new template file. Let's see, data source. I wonder if I can put it. For now, I'm not sure if I can append to that, so I'm going to create a second DWG file. You can tell I'm more comfortable with MicroStation and AutoCAD. It's just what I was used when I worked earlier. Okay, so I'm going to run that. So this is a great workspace, and that should have created me a block in my AutoCAD file. So now what I can do is, let's see, that's the one with the DGN in there, so I'm going to create a writer that's DWG. We're going to put that in the FME data transportation, and what did we call it? We called it street lighting.dgn, so we'll call it street lighting.dwg. Parameters, we need to use the template, which is in here, resources, block library 2. We're going to go with 2013 release, and we'll use extended entity data to store the information about the items. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to add a new feature type. What I'm going to do is duplicate that and then just move it over to the AutoCAD. I don't know why we keep doing that with that size. I'm going to have to mention that to the developers. Okay, so now we can do a DWG styler in the same way. And I can just say, let's open that up. It's a block. What blocks have we got in the template? Oh, I need to define the template here as well. What block have we got in here? It's the light block. We'll just go with the same as before, and that should about do it. So what I can do with this as well, let's just create labels as well while we're at it. So now that simply we've created labels and we have both MicroStation and AutoCAD being written now. So let's run that. So I'm creating some AutoCAD. You'll notice I'm doing all of this in 2014 because obviously I'm working on data for 2014, so I really need to keep that. Now somewhere I've got an AutoCAD viewer. DWG True View, that sounds right. Let me open that up. It's just opening on the other screen right now, but I'll drag it across. I just want to make sure I've got the right output, and if we can open it up in AutoCAD, then it must be pretty reasonable. So let's say open the file, streetlighting.dwg. Basically it says it's created by an application that was not Autodesk, but that's okay. We know and we trust FME, so that's fine. Okay, I've got to figure out how to zoom in. Like I said, I'm not as good at AutoCAD as I am at MicroStation. There we go, let's see that. There we go. And that looks good to me. We've got the label and we have the little icon in there as a block, so that looks great. So that's what I was looking for. So now we have some data of the city of Vancouver, and we can use that in training materials. So now all I've got to do is obviously add a bit of annotation in here to say what it is. DWG streetlights blocks. And you might notice that in 2014 we can do all sorts of things with this, like change the font, make it bold, make it bigger, make it smaller, pick a different font. This is just one of the advantages that we've got in the changeover to in 2014. So let's say Arial, we'll make it bold. So there, I can just change the labels like that. So, and I'll do, okay, well that was obviously the wrong. Okay, so we're going to oops, where's the detach? There we go, detach, because I connected it to the wrong one. So if I select both of them and choose attach, it'll attach the annotation to the right one. And I can just, oops, I obviously picked the wrong one there. So add annotation, DGN street light blocks, and I might as well change it to an Arial font, just the same as I did with the other one. That's interesting. What's that? Oh, I can insert links and tables and I guess any HTML goes in there. Okay, so anyway, that's me finished with that. I'm just going to save the workspace, and we'll call it lighting FFS to, I'm going to call it to CAD, because we're going to two different CAD formats. So if you take the training course next year, you should find that we have this data in there, and you'll know how it was created. So anyway, that's my demo that isn't a demo for this morning, and I hope it was useful.